So when PewDiPie makes all these gaffes that are racist, when he says all these awful stuff...
Every time I hear this guy's voice, I lose brain cells. But I guess I'll just have to pull through.
Hey, you!
What?
You can maybe say it was a meme and it was a joke like a lot of people do, but when he continually says it, when he drops hints of who he really is, then that's who I believe he is. Now, obviously, he's had horrible people on his show, like Ben Shapiro.
Okay, Ben Shapiro is a lot of things, but he isn't a horrible person. You make him sound like he's someone like Nick Fuentes, who is legitimately a horrible person. But Ben Shapiro, not even close.
Don't need to get into how much of a racist that guy is.
Except I don't think he really is at all. At the most, he's anti-Muslim and very pro-Jew, specifically religious Jew.
All the awful things he said about LGBT people.
The worst I think I have heard him ever say about LGBT is that he doesn't think trans women are women in any sense of the word, or trans men are men in any sense of the word. Which really isn't that radical. That's kind of normal in the conservative field, or even just in the moderate field. There's still a lot of people who do not think trans men and trans women are men or women. They think they're their biological sex, both mentally, physically, psychologically, all that. Regardless whether you think they are who they say they are, these people don't. I would agree with you to an extent that they are who they say they are, so long as they're not the non-binary bull. But that's still not very common within the more conservative or more moderately conservative field. So it's fairly common that people don't think like you do. Now, as for his beliefs on homosexual marriage and adoption, yeah, I don't like that, but still, nothing that radical.
All the bad things he said about Arabs and Palestinians.
I will give you some credit. He has said some very rude things about Palestinians and Arabs. However, most of his statements are quite true. Palestinians and Muslims and Arabs don't view gay rights very highly. They don't view women's rights very highly. The only Middle Eastern country that actually looks at LGBT having at least, being accepted into society, even if they don't allow marriage, is Israel. And Israel's the only country that treats women as equal to men in the Middle East. So yes, Ben Shapiro has a lot of points against the Palestinians, against Arabs, against Muslims. So yeah.
But he had that on his show, really giving this guy mass appeal to children, which is nice. Obviously, he said the N-word live on stream.
Oh no! PewDiPie said the N-word! Whatever will we do? From what I have heard from gamers, it's a fairly common word that is used, and they don't use it to be derogatory towards black people, they use it to insult anyone. And just because someone uses it doesn't mean they are saying it towards a black person or saying it derogatory to a black person or black people. For example, I have used the F word, basically the N word for gay people, for making fun of myself, making fun of other people who are not gay, and just other people I know who use that word like that. It's not that they're using it to insult gay people or be derogatory to them. They're just trying to make a good laugh. Or they might use it just to say derogatorily to someone, but not because they think they're gay or because they're gay or anything like that. They just use it as an insult.
Again, when someone shows who they really are, believe them the first time, and this is not even the first time, made loads of jokes talking about Nazis, making light of the Holocaust, all these different things.
Again, those are jokes. Jokes are jokes. Just because someone makes a Holocaust joke doesn't mean they are against Jews. Just because they make Nazi jokes doesn't mean they're anti-Semitic.
So it's not surprising he actually has a pretty prominent alt-right fan base, but lately on stream he's dropped another hint of who he really is. when he's talking about the migration crisis, which of course is a term that lots of people like to use as a stand-in for the refugee crisis, and I'm going to get into why that matters.
What's the problem there? They're virtually the same. Refugees are migrating to European countries. So you can call it either a refugee crisis or you can call it a migrant crisis.
Most studied languages at Duolingo in some countries. Sweden learning Sweden. Mass immigration, everyone. How about that? Wait, what? That's it, right? I think they say it.
So if you don't understand what you've just seen, he's looking at a graph that is basically saying, what is the number one language people learn in different countries? Now in Sweden, the number one language people are learning is Swedish. So he angrily states, mass immigration, everyone. You can hear it in his voice what he's saying. He obviously disapproves of mass migration, mass immigration. He's talking about mass migration, and of course, in Western countries, migration has increased. Now, in terms of the framing of this, it's quite important to understand where different people come from, right? So, in actual fact, it's not a migration crisis, it's a refugee crisis.
A lot of people disapprove of mass migration. This is because there can be clashes in culture. Those people who migrate in mass may not assimilate, especially if they come from a vastly different culture. A vastly different culture that views women as second-class citizens and wants to kill gay people. This mass migration is a legitimate thing to be upset about because it has increased crime a lot in Europe, especially Sweden, which has become the rape capital of Europe. And what's this because of? The mass migration from the Middle East. Shocker.
Now I can already see the right-wingers watching this video and be like, oh, you're just looking too much into what PewDiPie says. And what I want to explain to them is what a dog whistle is. Now, I know they can't really understand that because if you're on the right wing, you have to have everything spelled out to you. And even if you do say legitimately racist stuff like PewDiPie, explicitly racist stuff, they still dismiss it as, oh, an edgy joke or something. That's why you always have people making apologies for Donald Trump, even when he's outwardly racist.
PewDiPie is not the only one who's called it the migrant crisis. The BBC called it the migrant crisis. So did The Guardian, Prospect.org, CNN, New York Times, NPR, Washington Post, and even Vox. And so it's not just the right and PewDiPie who are saying mass migration. Get the out of here, you dip. That is big enough proof that it isn't a dog whistle. But even if there wasn't that, a dog whistle argument is very weak. Because basically you could say pretty much anything is a dog whistle. Just because someone says the same thing doesn't mean their intent is the same. To say it's a dog whistle is so weak of evidence. You need to have hard evidence to prove someone is a racist. For example, there's a good amount of evidence to say that Nick Fuentes is a racist, which I believe he legitimately is. Is there hard evidence to say PewDiPie is a racist? No. Every time I have to do a video on you, I just lose brain cells. Every time. Every time. Because you are such a moron. You're so entrenched in your ideology that you can't see. Anyways, I'm done with this video. If you liked it, please give it a like, subscribe, share it, comment down below, and tell me what you thought. Help me reach my new goal of 1,000 subscribers, hopefully before the end of this year. That's my new goal. So please help me reach that goal by sharing my content with all your friends, your family, your followers, and on all your different social media. So help me reach that goal. And you can also support my content on Patreon or Ko-fi. That is also a very huge thing I would very much appreciate if you do. So do all that stuff, and I'll see y'all later.